Hi, this is Alexa Hampton, and this is 52 Weeks of Design. And today we're speaking to Elizabeth Fiore, who has been really a great collaborator in the past couple of years. She is an art consultant, and and what I love about working with her is that she is extremely knowledgeable and talented about art with which I am terribly unfamiliar, which is usually contemporary art. It's so fast paced, it's so fast moving, knowing what's happening, who's hot is, as you can imagine, a career in and of itself, which is why it's her career. But I love working with her, especially because hey, so here we are. So I was just saying, I love working with you because I love the foil of kind of traditional interiors with extremely modern art. Can I hear you? I cannot hear you. It wouldn't be Monday without a hiccup. Can't hear you. Oh, hello? No. Do you want to hang up and try again? Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, she left. We're going to try her again. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, come on. Fiore. Hello, Ellen. Hello, Alan. Okay. She's gonna join us. I was just at the Theodore Alexander showroom this morning. That was very fun. We're waiting for Elizabeth. Hopefully it will work this time. Her volume was not working. So anyway, the notion of her being such an expert about contemporary art and having her finger to the pulse is really great for me because that kind of about face with modern art and more traditional or historic furniture is really exciting. I am always saying to people that I love in Europe how you have these beautiful old crusty, oh, it says Elizabeth's unable to join, these crusty interiors with all of this history, and then they have very modern furniture. So I love our doing the reverse. I think I heard something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yay! I can hear you. Yay! How
Good.
you doing, Elizabeth?
I am so good. This is very strange.
Yeah. I mean, if you're on Instagram, I'm surprised you can ever escape me. But I love having you do this with me because I love our relationship is so easy. I feel like other people need to know about you so they can partake of the ease with which, or how easy you make the projects that we work on together.
Well, I love doing that for my clients. And when you said that, I was just thinking about how we met. And I had done a showroom for, I believe it was Guy Regal.
Uh-huh.
And we put some Ellen Carey works up, and you were doing a book.
Yes. Well, oh God, I love those works. They're painted with light, right?
They are actually photographs. They are painted with light, and she works on them and crinkles them up and creates all sorts of movement in them. And we did them in the showroom down in
High Point a couple of years later.
Yeah,
but those photographs had stuck in my head for a long time.
Yes.
And so I reached out through your contact at Guy Regal, and yeah, that's how we met. And it's been fun and games ever since.
It's all fun and games. We've done a lot of great projects together that I'm very
Yeah.
pleased with.
Me too.
Yeah,
Most
you're fun to
recently,
work with. I might be easy to work with, but you're fun to work with.
on a
And
limited basis.
say that again.
On a limited basis.
I don't know. It's always fun. You've got a great team, and we
Yeah.
just get in there. We show you things. You're so receptive to, I love what we did in the last High Point, where it was all women.
Yeah. So for people tuning in, wanting to know what we're talking about, at High Point Market, I have a collection of furniture for Theodore Alexander. And prior to Market, you and I worked together. I've got something like 5,000 square feet there or more. And, it's like it's a real wow moment, right? This is my editorial moment twice a year, my fashion show.
Yeah,
And the art is just the fact that you help me bring real art to a showroom just elevates the whole process.
yeah, I think the first one was Ellen Carey, Emily Mason, Evan Ness, when we were
Right?
having both men and women. Now I'm on a roll. I go through different stages with
Totally.
and I'm thinking about Marcus. Break to show up.
Mhm.
Did we lose you? There.
No, just
Oh,
sort of. Okay.
you're
Something's beeping. I'm trying to stop it.
okay. Um, yeah. So our collaboration has been fantastic for
Really
me.
fantastic. So, how do you usually work with your clients? How do they find you? Just word of mouth or?
It's been word of mouth. I've been in the business for 30 years. I'm a native New Yorker, so a lot of people know me through just being in New York. My stepmother, Laura Bond, is a designer, so of course I know a lot of designers, that whole world through her since I was 12 years old.
Leave this lassie.
Yeah. And I've also worked for great galleries. I worked at Pace Gallery,
Yeah.
and which was a very corporate, wonderful experience. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember in 1990 holding a little Picasso painting in my hands at the age of 25 and not believing that I was in this situation or meeting, a Picasso or
Right. Handling it, no less.
handling it, meeting the family, meeting Donald Judd and Dan Flavin and all of these artists that I had studied. And
So were you an art history major in college? Did you go to grad school? Where? I mean, obviously you started early, like
I
in your family.
started early. My mother took me to museums all the time. And so I had a love of art, and I worked for an artist when I was 19, the summer of age 19. I didn't do very well working for the artist. I kept spilling my coffee on the artwork that I was.
Oh my God. Oh my
I know. And he said, I'm not sure this is for you.
God. He's like, you
I,
ham-fisted fool.
so I said, I think you're right. And although I, appreciate the experience, this isn't right for me.
Yeah.
And I actually went on to study, I was studying literature, and then it went into French literature and my love of all things French. And I went to Hunter College, and then I think it was my junior year, I moved to Paris. And
So good.
yeah, it was wonderful. I stayed for a little while, and that's when I became interested in art. I do have to thank my ex-husband for that. He was an artist and helped me with a great education.
That's lovely.
And so it was very nice. I would take classes I was at the Sorbonne, and I was studying literature and history there. And then I would go to Beaux-Arts and take there. And I created my own program, really.
Yeah.
And when I came back to New York, I like to tell this story. Penguin offered me a job, and they offered me very little money. So I still wanted to be in literature and, reading books. I
Sure.
loved books. And it was when my father said, okay, now it's time for you to make some money.
You're like, no, it's not.
I always had a job. I've been working since I was 15. I used to work in my father's office. He is in the construction business or was. He's since closed it. But I couldn't understand how one could live on $16,000 a year. That was the salary that Penguin offered me.
Yeah.
I said, thank you, but no thank you. And then went to work at Pace for, probably double that, if not more. And I was just fascinated with it. I was dedicated, fascinated. I worked for the best people in the art world. And after Pace, I went to Anina Noze, who is still a mentor to me and a teacher. I'm sorry, let me back up. She discovered Basquiat, so she's known for.
She's got some credibility.
Yeah, and a very small gallery, so there I learned to do a lot. And at one point, I just said, you know what, I can do this on my own. I was going to open a gallery, decided not to, became an art advisor. And so back to your question, it's all referrals. It's me, people like you. I work with a lot of designers.
I must say, obviously people who in design, we want to be involved in the conversation about art, but we just cannot be involved in all conversations about art because that is obviously a career unto itself. And it's almost like trying to follow lighting technology. It's just changes so rapidly. And to know that you're in somebody, obviously you want to click with their sense of taste,
Mm-hmm.
but to know like, oh, this person can help explain the excitement of whatever that piece is invaluable because we want this, that beautiful energy. I mean, without the artwork and the books, it's not a home yet.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like hiring a lighting designer.
Mm-hmm.
For a project you're working on. I mean, I don't want to say I'm like a lighting designer. I come with art history. I come with knowledge of the market. I come with knowledge of how to work with people and how to make it easy for them. I mean, that really is my philosophy.
And you travel all over the place all the time.
All over the place, all the time. COVID didn't stop me. Last July, I flew to Paris to look at a Fragonard painting.
Ooh, I am not a big Fragonard fan. I gotta admit.
You're not. Well,
I'm not. It's too pretty. It's too sweet.
Well, we bought a landscape, and it was a little different than what you're thinking about. And it was a very special painting. It was a very special find, and I actually found it in Holland. It was taken to Paris for me to see because I was going to Paris. And I mean, it was just a wonderful find.
That's thrilling.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of thing I can offer people is knowing where to look for things, knowing what to look for. You telling me, I'm thinking, I actually think you gave me some information, very little information for this project.
Well, like you don't want to, when you're working with an expert, and this is my problem all the time as an expert in what I'm doing, is you want to be able to be the expert that you are. And if I'm working with someone like you, I feel that all I need to tell you is broad strokes, no pun intended, because I want you to do what you do.
Well, we were told this time that we just want large pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about large. I can't, we might do small, but lots of small put as a whole composition. I mean, I've got some ideas floating around, and we will be presenting them to you next week. So
and I feel like showing real artists at market, it's not necessarily a given for a lot of people who are showing at market, and I feel like it just gives that incredible extra layer because you know, how do you affect the total presentation without that piece?
Absolutely. Looking at a bare wall or a bad poster is not good.
Ugh, posters. No.
Or poster or bad art. You know, bad art
Well,
is not good.
you know, I used to have a lot of homemade art, and it looked really homespun.
Well, you've got
Um,
pieces too.
no, I mean, I now have pieces that I love. I'm always kind of confused about the you know, obviously a client will want to know about the value of the piece. And obviously there's this huge market where people are buying it not just to enjoy it, but as an investment. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I feel totally out of my depth, because that's not how I approach artwork. I approach artwork, you know, does it speak to me? Is it beautiful? I'm much more la-di-da about it than knowing that nitty-gritty, that you have to know like the beauty, but you also have to know it as currency.
Well, that's what we do as well, is to make sure that we're spending the right amount of money on the right piece. And, you know, there are lots of situations, especially in this market, where we've bought things for, give one example, we bought a painting several years ago for $60,000. That's gone up to $1.7 million. And in real money, it's not
Yeah,
just a number. We can actually get that. Or
it's not a non-fungible trade.
I'm just learning about that right now.
I'm just learning about it too. I read that article, what was it, a week ago?
Yeah.
And I found it fascinating and even more perplexing, because when you look at what they're selling, the artists, it's very meme heavy. It's very digitized. It is not, you know, it's
It, it,
I love anything that uses the word fungible. I'm on board because it's a word that it's not used enough. But yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. I can't really speak so much about the
NFTs.
NFTs because I don't know enough about it. I do think it's a great tool.
See, that's where we're different. I love to talk about things I know nothing about.
Well, I wanted to give a plug to artists, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a great thing for artists to experiment with. Get on a platform. There are several platforms. Actually, a friend of mine is starting a platform, and I will post it so you all can follow me and find out about it. But artists post to these platforms, and they can work on images, and maybe it goes nowhere, and maybe it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, it goes to 69 million or 720. A writer from the New York Times sold a column, a digitized. He put his column up
Yeah.
and sold it for, I believe it was about $700,000. Now that's a cryptocurrency, I believe.
Right.
Do you really get that much? So I don't know. I like to,
And it can only exist in the digital realm.
it can be
It's,
it can be printed. I mean, I think it's like I believe it's like a Soloist wall drawing. You
Mhm.
get it and you get instructions on how to produce it on the wall. The wall is not the artwork. What the artwork is the certificate, or what has value is the certificate. So I believe that's the same thing with the NFTs. But
Now, does it make you gnash your teeth when you work with people that are really just looking at the investment angle?
no, I take it as a challenge, and what I like to do. I mean, I've worked with design. I'd like to tell this story too. I worked with a designer who said, you know, they're going to be in and out. They want to fill up their walls, and that's it.
Mhm.
And once they fill up the walls on Park Avenue, that they'll be done. And 100 pieces later, they're still art collectors, and
Right.
they love it. So I think what happens is that people just get into, you know, the fun of discovering,
Mhm.
supporting artists, and it becomes a passion.
Now, you are a collector as well as an advisor, and
Yes.
you rotate things in and out of your house a lot.
Not so much. I don't like to put holes in the walls.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that you're replacing them.
Yes.
But like there
Oh,
is, in that way, you speak to the client
well,
very well because you do this yourself.
right, right. But if you mean that I sell things from my own collection, or
Yeah, occasionally you'll sell something out and new things will come in.
Very occasionally will I sell something. I recently sold something.
That's why it was in my head because I
Yeah,
knew you had sold
yeah,
it.
but I don't hold an inventory that's for sale. As
Right.
an art advisor, it's best to, be neutral
Mhm.
and not a dealer would sell their inventory. An advisor doesn't necessarily have inventory. So if I show you something and you don't like it, I say, okay, we move on. Let's go
Yeah.
look at something else. I mean, anyone would do that, but it's important to be thinking about what the client wants, not what I have for sale.
Of course.
And really,
Um,
my services are tailored to each client, and it's different. I might show you something like Elizabeth Hazen, who we both love,
right.
and that might not work for a different client. And so each collection that I'm putting together with the clients, I mean, I like to say that they're putting it together and I'm showing them options.
Right.
And we're curating it together.
Savvy phrasage, because it's true. Yeah, somebody's saying you're Switzerland neutral.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I am Switzerland neutral, if you put it that way. But neutral is a word that I use a lot.
But what? Okay, so who are some of your faves? Who are some obvious faves that everybody would recognize, and who are some more specialized faves? I guess.
My favorites change all the time.
I know. Well, today I've
Today,
got a top 10 running all the time, and it comes. Yes,
so right behind,
of
little,
course, it's too big.
yeah,
Yeah, behind you.
this little painting that is green, blue, and pink is by an artist named Janaína Chape. She's a German Brazilian artist that I've actually been working with for many, many years. When I told you that I wanted to open a gallery, she was my only artist at the time.
Yeah.
That we had
So
signed.
you've had a long relationship.
We've had a very long relationship. It's been over 25 years. And I absolutely adore her work. I have lots of her work. I have this painting. I have a very big photograph that is on view right now at the Sarasota Art Museum. And I'm going down there on
Oh,
Thursday.
is it the Oslo? Is it part of that? Is it part of the Ringling Brothers?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's a great campus.
Yes. So I'm going down there on Thursday for the closing of the show. And I get to see the show. I get to see my piece. I get to be with Janaína. So she's been one of my, my favorites over the years.
Mhm.
I mean, shows that are up right now that I absolutely love. Anne Craven. She's
Mhm.
at the Armor Gallery right now on the Lower East Side on Second Street and Avenue A, between Avenue A and Avenue B.
Well, she's already got that makes her cool.
She's
That's like intense street cred.
The guys from Karma are very cool, and what they show is great. I've discovered a lot of artists through them. Nicholas Party is one of them. Alex DeCorta, who has the installation on the rooftop at the Met. He's also
Mhm.
another favorite of mine. Alighiero Boetti, that was one of the first.
Right, right. And you mentioned him in your questionnaire.
Yes, I bought a piece when I was leaving Anina's, and I remember it was so nice of her to let me pay it off. I had a payment plan, and
Okay.
it was my gift to myself when I was leaving. And when I think about it, it was so little money back then, but
Yeah,
I mean, it was so little money when I think of it now. Back then, it was a lot of money for me.
totally.
And the value, I'm looking at it right now, the value of it has gone up incredibly, and I would never sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Never, never. So he's one of my favorites. Jeffrey Gibson has a show up right now at Six Jenkins. He's an artist that I appreciate very much. He works with beads. He works with words. He's inspired by music. Very colorful. Although I don't love colorful in my home. I like kind of muted colors.
Hmm. I am really surprised to hear. I mean, because that has no relationship to the decoration of your house. It's just you prefer the muted colors.
Well, my apartment is muted. I'm thinking about Jeffrey Gibson as being someone who, I mean, it really jumped. It's very colorful, lots of different colors. I would never say no to a Jeffrey Gibson,
Yeah,
but
I
there
would never.
there are things that you love and appreciate, but might not see in your own home.
Right. So what we have done together is
Brett,
has has
let's
been all stuff that I would own. Like Melinda Hackett. Like I love her work. Cheryl Hazan. I mean, these are all things that have just spoken to me,
yeah.
and it's so great to have I'm not looking at this stuff that wouldn't speak to me because you're not showing it. Like we have a very easy working relationship because
I get it. I get
yeah,
you.
you get it. Yeah, you totally get it.
I get you. I love you. You're you know that you're very bubbly and
I
you're
am bubbly.
open-minded and you're excited, and I think the work that I show you is often those can be
Yeah.
described. Right?
It's like Rumsfeldian. There's the known unknown and the unknown unknown. Like I know what I don't know, and then I let you take it from there.
Right.
Can we see some of it? Can you give us like a little informal tour of what's behind you?
I can.
You can say no, or you could just do those
I
three.
would love to show you what's behind me. I just to remind myself of how much I love Paris. I have a vintage map of Paris that was hanging in my beach cottage, and then I decided to bring it here. Can you see it?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
Then we've got Janina Chape.
Uh-huh.
Mala Iqbal she is a young, not sure, Pakistani German artist that I was crazy about. She showed at PPOW, and I just love her work.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
And that's also like a beautiful example of hanging things together that are completely disparate.
I
They
love
have
that.
nothing to do with each other, but they look beautiful together because they're things you love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love photography. Well, this is Agnes Barley. I don't know how to switch it, but this is Agnes Barley. She's
Beautiful.
an artist, and I think I'm going to be showing you that work for High Point. This is the Boetti, if you can see
Yeah.
it.
I also love it how he's just there by himself.
And it's teeny tiny.
Yeah, what does it say?
This is 8 inches, 8 by 8.
Yeah.
And I love that.
You can see that it's a treasure because it's how you hang it.
Someone's asking me.
Yes, I was about to ask that too, and I was like, no, I won't ask. But yeah, what is the PPOW?
PPOW is a gallery that's on Lower Broadway. I'm sorry, I mention a lot of galleries. So it's called PPOW. They are on White Street and Broadway. They've been around for probably 35 years, if not more. See my little Boetti, my little gem. I get to look at it from my desk. I work at home, and right now I work alone. Madison is up in Connecticut,
Right.
Madison.
Yes.
So I collect a lot of photography also. And the top one, am I doing it right? The top one is Gordon Parks.
Right. Who you said is one artist you always come back to.
Gordon Parks is someone I love. My sister worked for him. She was his right-hand person for almost 20 years. And I was lucky enough to know him through my sister. And I have several of his works that I absolutely adore. Oops, someone's at the door.
Let's say hello.
I think it's the window cleaner, but I'm not sure.
Let him in.
Hold on. Bear with me, everyone.
So somebody's saying that you're using the empty space, especially around the Boetti, as matting, which is great.
Oh, here, look at the Boetti from here. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's great because it's like the dot of an exclamation point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Arabelle, New York City, we do not figure out together where things are going to hang. We figure that out independent. I figure that out independently. And sometimes, as you would imagine, things get moved. You know, you put something up and then you're like, nope, that's not right.
Oh,
So
I want
what was it? The
point out.
windows?
Sorry, that was the window cleaner. I had to send him away.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. That's like, you know, when we wash our windows here at the apartment, it's like my husband comes home and he wouldn't notice if I dyed my hair blue, but there's no not noticing how great it is when your windows are clean.
Oh, I really wanted him to come today, but I sent him away. Here's another piece I just want to point out. This is one of my latest acquisitions. Her name is Donna Moylan.
It almost looks like a 12 from this angle.
Oh, it's just, hold on. It's called The Death of a Poet. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Love it, love
Very
it, love
cool.
it. So anyway, there's art everywhere. Here is Suzanne McClelland, Halston sketches, which you cannot see because of.
Oh, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I am obsessed with Halston.
I just saw that documentary and I was blown away and heartbroken at the same time.
I know.
That guy who just.
I know.
They were at each other. It was very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. So that was a little tour. I didn't take you into the bedroom because I'm still waiting for some furniture. And
so, call me.
Yes. So that's the little tour.
Yeah. If somebody's just starting an art collection, what's the best piece of advice you can give them? And understanding that the collection might not mean a deer collection, you know, like not necessarily pedigreed, but just
absolutely
starting.
I would say look at as much as possible first before buy. I mean, you can be spontaneous and you can, love the first thing you see and buy it. But I do think it's important to look at as much as possible, and train your eye. Look at bad, look at good things. Hire an art advisor.
Yes, definitely. Well, and also like as we said, like it's a whole career. Staying current with that and staying current with other things that a person does professionally, it's just impossible.
Well, is think about art. I think about a lot of other things too. I mean, I have lots of hobbies, but art is a hobby. Art is my love. Art is
It's a vocation and an avocation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and I feel like in the world of interior decorating and design, it's, obviously it's a critically important piece of that puzzle. I usually don't start with the client's artwork, but for myself, I did start with the artwork. I knew where I wanted everything to be, and then the colors of the rooms swapped as a consequence. So I have a lot of colorful artwork in my living room, and so it is a neutral wall, whereas my family room has a lot of engravings, so that has a blast of color on the wall behind it. So it is.
I love the color behind you, the green.
Yeah, this is a very. Actually, I was just having a fantasy yesterday when I was getting my nails done about changing this room to a lacquered red affair, but I think my husband would be very sad. He loves his green. I'll give it a few more years.
Do you think he'll?
No, I mean he loves what I do.
Yeah, I know he adores you. He adores you.
I adore him, but he doesn't like things changing all the time. So when we first started dating, I don't know what was going on in my life, but I was like zigzagging all over the place, and I was renting an apartment with a friend, and Pavlos moved in with me, and I would come home and mess around with the apartment, and it got to the point where he had to sit me down and say, I'd really like it if things were where I left them in the morning, like chairs and bed. Like I would move beds into the living room, and furniture was always being moved, and that does not appeal to him. He's willing to give me my head and let me do what I want to do, but he wants a little stasis. But
I,
artwork, I think, is an acceptable thing to rotate in and out,
mm-hmm.
um, without messing up. Like you can renew, and I say this not as like a tip, but you can reinvent your room through artwork in a way that's powerful um, because you're not messing with the logic of the room. You know, rooms do end up having a logic, and you
Absolutely.
don't want to make it weird just to make it different. But the art that you show and look at and love. You know, every time we do market, I also grab things from here, from my apartment, and ship them down
Right.
too. So it's funny. I'm like a traveling, you know, traveling with pictures that I love.
Absolutely.
What are some of the most exciting projects that you've worked on?
I loved what we did in Palm Springs.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh, that was so great.
gorgeous. Mel Bachner, Marcus Linenbrink.
Oh, I love the linen bricks,
Love
the
the
stripes. They speak to me.
Marcus has a show up right now at Miles McKierney Gallery on West 22nd Street for anyone interested in seeing his work. That's a great project. I mean, one of my favorite projects, and it's also broken my heart that they've closed, was building the collection for Neiman Marcus Hudson Yards.
Yeah.
Um,
What is going to happen with that?
I don't know. They're
Like,
not.
are they reorganizing, or are they just really going to die?
No, they've restructured. Neiman Marcus has restructured, but I do think that
That was a huge collection that you assembled.
huge,
Like,
huge.
how many pieces are we talking about?
50.
Yeah. And I mean, Hudson Yard was, I mean, recent, but in that moment before COVID, the most photographed place in New York City.
I don't know what's going to happen with that space, but Neiman Marcus is not coming back to it, and they've restructured, so I don't think that they're going away. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they won't, they just won't have a presence in New York right now. But moving on from that, that was wonderful. We had a very small team, 3 people. I worked with Chris and Megan, who were from Neiman Marcus,
Mm-hmm.
and we traveled around. We looked at great art. We bought great works. Um, I also have clients that I love working with that are, have been clients for 15 years. And one client who has homes all over London, New York, Los Angeles, we just continue buying. And it is the most satisfying relationship because they are very open to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we go through phases. We go through photography phases. We go through sculpture phases. We go through
Sure.
phases. We come back to photography. So that's been nice. And I'm working with another young couple who are in it for the long haul. And we've been buying really serious museum quality works. And it's a
In
very,
what genre?
in painting, sculpture, drawing. But
Yeah.
what we finally defined after about 2 or 3 years of working together is they're in commercial real estate, and what we've defined as themes in the collection are time and space and place.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow everything's loosely related to that.
Right.
And we didn't start out with that way. I saw what they were drawn to,
And
and
you
and I
translated what it was.
exactly, and then they loved it, and then there we go. There's a theme that we don't have to stay in because, of course, one doesn't need any restrictions when collecting art. You have to love what you buy, what you have.
Totally, totally. And it depresses me when people are just buying to flip. Like, are you really going to flip what's in your living room next week? Like, be serious.
A lot of people do it, and the galleries don't like it.
Yeah, does it really anger them?
Well, yes. I mean, they won't. Galleries are invested in the artists, and they want people to love and appreciate and keep the work. Of course, sometimes one needs to sell work, but flipping it is a big taboo in the art world.
Good.
We don't like flippers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I was talking to a friend last night about an artist, and what she said makes me think that that's what her problem was, that people were collecting this one artist to immediately flip them, and she was not pleased. Um, Somebody's asking, what fee structure do you use? And do not feel compelled to answer that if you don't want to, but if you do want to answer it, yay.
I would love it for that person to call me and I can discuss
Yeah.
it with them, but I can give you a general idea of how I work. I charge a fee that's separate. Well, that's related to the price of the artwork. What I do is negotiate the best price possible with the gallery, and then my fee is separate.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're paying just retail. Sometimes it's a little over retail, but you're getting a lot
Of
with,
service.
yeah, it's not just let's buy this piece and I'm done with you. I mean, you can come back to me in 10 or 20 years and say, hey, let's get it, or next week, or whenever we might need to appraise a collection. So we appraise the artwork for clients. Let's
Oh,
say,
that's a handy little element.
yes, absolutely. We're not certified appraisers, but
But
we
you know what things are valued at.
we do the research. So we talk to galleries, we look at auction records. But to answer that person's question, or to get into what we offer in that fee, is hanging the work, getting the work framed, safeguarding the work, making sure that you don't hang a drawing in front of a window with direct light. Hiring, let's say the piece gets damaged, we'll send it to a conservator for you. There's no fee. We'll make sure that you get the right conservator.
Right.
We'll make sure the right art handlers come in to.
So it encompasses your whole relationship to the work.
Yes. Now, if you have something that we didn't buy together, then I charge an hourly fee to help you with it.
With all of the above, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, I find hourly fees really gruesome because it's just hard to keep track of. One can spend a whole lot of time doing something and not want to cop to how much time it took.
I don't love keeping track of time. We have called time tracker or hour tracker.
Yeah.
So we try to do that.
Do you have any technology that you use?
We better ask Madison that.
Right.
Couldn't she come on?
We will ask her in future. I do find that more and more renderings showing art, fabrics, the whole nine, really, it's amazing how, we're so used to, you and I and people in this business, we're always used to envisioning it, and I don't think we realize how much trouble people have envisioning things.
Well, we Photoshop things into the room.
Yeah.
So we need a great picture of the room, and we can Photoshop. I do bring things on approval so people can actually see it in their homes without having to commit. I mean, we have to be 99% sure that it's something that will work. But I can bring things if they're in New York, obviously, or actually, we sold a painting not long ago. By Yayoi Kusama, who's having a show at the Botanical Gardens right now up in the Bronx. And that painting was shipped to New York from San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
That entails getting it, shipped over, having the right insurance for it, and then looking at the room, and it's a yes or a no. And if it's a no, it goes back to wherever it came from. If it's a yes, we hang it up, and there you go.
Yeah, and there you go. How, when you work with a client and they're just starting a project, do you like to start with them before they have a sense of what the fabrics and the decor are?
That's not.
Or do they usually come to you later?
I think some people come to me before. Right now, we're working on a project with with another, well, I was recommended by a designer. This client wants to wait until they get into the apartment so that they live in the apartment a little bit, and then, you know, we'll start looking soon.
Yeah.
But we're not matching the fabrics necessarily.
Of course not.
I'm not opposed to it if that's what someone wants to do. I mean,
Right. As long as it's still meaningful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, you know, as long as it's good art and works for you, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you know, if it's not great, I will tell someone, I don't really think that this is for you. So, you know, proceed with caution.
Right. Do you,
Or girl,
I mean, you must be educating your clients all the time.
all
Is
the
that a part of the business that you love?
I do. I do. I love talking about the art and the artists and their career. I've known a lot of artists since the 90s when I started in the art world. They were young artists then. They're no longer young.
Yeah. They're seasoned.
I try to stay up on all the young artists as well. I go to the Lower East Side. Actually, Wednesday, I'm finally getting my nephew, my 19-year-old nephew, out to go to galleries with me.
Good fun.
I can't wait. I'm so excited that he wanted
Maybe
to.
I should send my kids to you.
They can come. I love children, kids.
Yeah. And they love modern. They
I
love modern and contemporary.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, they have to, of course.
Yeah. They're like, what are all these busts? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, what does great art mean to you? That's a good question. And yes, it's a loaded question. It can mean so many things. But
Whoever Arabelle is,
yeah,
he or she has great questions.
yes, great questions.
Be engaged. I appreciate that. What is great art? You know, for me, great art is a painting with depth, with meaning, something that helps you to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and great art can also mean that it has value, that it has, you know, well, that's the career actually that I'm talking about there, that, you know, an artist like Alex DeCorta is showing at the Met, or he, you know, he had a major installation at the Carnegie International, which is a very important institutional show at the Carnegie. So does that make it great art? It's not going to be great if it's not good. If there's no depth to it, no, it's not great. So great to me means that you want to look at it for a very long time. And the only way to know that, well, I know that because I have a feeling. I'm a very instinctual person. You know, 30 years of looking at art.
Right. Your eye has been trained.
Someone else just said, I know nothing about art, but know what I love. And yeah, absolutely.
That's a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
That you can even know what you love is huge.
And you know what you don't love. Mm-hmm. I encourage people to tell me that what they don't love. So I don't want them to say that in front of the gallerist per se.
Right.
Early, but you know, we talk about it afterwards. And you know, I just hated that for whatever reason. Or hate's a strong word. I didn't like it. Whatever reason, it didn't speak to me. I didn't understand it. And you know, it's important to talk to the gallerists, the people that work at the gallery, because especially with contemporary art, you really need to know what the artist was thinking. I mean, we know what Picasso was thinking with The Dreamer, you know, that wonderful painting that's in the Museum of Modern Art collection. I think it's called The Dreamer. I'm wrong. Forgive me.
I know what you're talking about.
It's the painting of Marie-Thérèse sleeping. Oh, that's one of my
Those
favorites.
poor women. Well, poor dumb Picasso.
He wasn't nice to his women.
Listen, they got some good pictures of them, but yeah, I remember I went through that very typical progression as a young person, right, of looking at Picasso and being like, I don't get it. I can draw this. As if.
Well, I can draw it, but you didn't. So Picasso.
Yeah, no, totally. But it did take reading it and reading the Richardson biographies and just to, I think it meant something to me when I found out that he was a great figurative artist early and that he had discarded it. You know, like he had it, he triumphed over it. He was stretching. And there's something about knowing somebody is proficient in something else and that what they're doing is a reflection of their abilities, you know, of having mastered something and now they're trying to grow, that for some reason dignifies the whole thing for me. Like, oh, okay, I get it. You're
Right.
not a good drafts person or drawer or painter. You're pushing your limitations.
Well, Jackson Pollock knew how to draw and paint, and in a figurative manner, and then he broke
And
down.
then pushed. Yeah.
He exploded. You know, he exploded the plane. He exploded.
Yes.
You know, Picasso. One of the early paintings of Picasso that I actually love are of his first wife, Olga. That's you know, you can everyone look it up. It's a beautiful painting, and he did portraits of himself. He went through different periods, and then Cubism came about. And that's, you know.
I love Cubism. I love. If you offered me a Brock right now, I'd take it.
Well, I love that you said Brock instead of Picasso because I think that Brock was great.
Brock's just make me so happy.
Absolutely. He was.
But I wouldn't say no to a Cezanne.
And Cezanne was very important in terms of abstract art. The Impressionists were important.
But he also, his art, even when it abstracted, still rings that realist bell. You know, I can look at a Cezanne and feel the same way I feel when I look at a Corot. But it's a completely different image that I'm looking at. Yeah, I love Cezanne.
He was one of my favorites. I want to tell everyone this. It's very funny. My favorite artist before I moved to Paris was Marc Chagall. You know, loved the feel.
I am not a Chagall girl.
Well, I got over it.
Yeah.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
But when I think about at the age of 18, that was the artist that I loved. And then I moved to Paris and
it's also a knowable artist. He had such a distinct look that you could look at it and say, yes, I like his work.
Right.
Because it meant something.
Well, there was a lot of symbolism. There was a lot of feeling in it. There was a lot of, you know, flowers and love and
right, and happy goats.
Yeah.
That might be like Fragonard. It's too cute. It's too just like I love Goya's brutal compositions, but I hate the cartoons. Right. I hate the red cheeked, and I don't love Renoir, or you know, like if it's too cute and pretty, I'm not interested.
I had a Renoir poster in my bedroom in college.
I mean, that's what we all did, right? It was Renoir or it was Klimt. I mean, Klimt is like the college student artist of choice.
Well, he's still one of my favorites.
Though I love Klimt, but I think I love Sheila better.
Sheila drawings are
they're just so. My sister-in-law, both of my sisters-in-law are gorgeous, and one of them looks like a Sheila. You know, pale with dark hair and you know thin, attenuated. I know I'm making her sound like a spider, but she's gorgeous. I feel like Sheila's got all of that sexy in there. Who of the big artists, like that everybody knows, foundational artists, do you think is overrated?
Don't ask me.
Oh, come on. I don't mean anybody that you're dealing. I mean, you know, in an art history survey, who do you think should be bumped out? Oh, Louise, I don't love a flying goat. I just don't love a flying goat.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I guess she's asking about Helma Klimt.
Helma Klimt is
yes, who's amazing. I see a little Melinda Hackett.
I'm sure Melinda's inspired.
I see them connecting.
artists.
William, are you saying Monet is the, oh, by the way, Manet is on my top five.
Love Manet also.
Love Manet. Monet, yeah, Monet gets a little cute again, a little pretty. Beautiful, but um so yeah, give me one person that you would say you'd prefer they not be in the survey of artwork.
I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't think that
You are refusing to play this game.
I'm gonna,
Do you hear my dog?
I really can't think of anyone that would come to mind. I mean,
Okay.
that shouldn't be in art history.
Oh no, just that, I mean, yeah. Who shouldn't be in the study of the greatest? Do you know who I'm like a little burnt out on? Who was a favorite for a long time? Like 20. Oh well, yeah, Jeff Koons, that doesn't count.
That did
Um,
fine, William, but I didn't say it. I do think he's important for some reason. You know, there
oh
are
yeah.
why he's important. He's not one of my favorite, but I do see the importance of his work.
Well, what do you think about Banksy?
Okay, there's the answer to my question.
Yeah.
Your
So
question. Your question.
so you just see him as a gimmick.
Well, I see it as important for what it is.
Like he's tweaking us.
It's street art. I do appreciate, you know, his niche, but I'm not crazy about the work. I don't understand why people are so crazy about it, but it's fun. It's cute.
Damned by faint praise. It's cute. So somebody's saying, is Dali still important? I would say I don't love Dali. I prefer Magritte or Andre Breton, or
I agree with you there. Salvador Dali, I wouldn't buy a Salvador Dali. There are a lot of fakes out on the market, and
are there?
I think so. You know, it's easy there. It's difficult. One has to be very careful, just like one has to be careful buying a Basquiat.
Yeah.
Or
I will remember that. The next time I go shopping for a Basquiat, I will remind myself to be very careful.
very careful. Anina is a great source. Anina knows.
Oh, Fairfield Porter, Milton Avery. Oh yeah, I don't think Milton Avery is underrated. I think he's beloved.
Jane Freilicher is wonderful. I don't know who Neil Blaine is, but I love Jane Freilicher, Fairfield Porter, Milton Avery.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all classics to me.
Alice Neal, yeah.
Well, so I went to see the Alice Neal show last week.
And
loved
at
it.
the Met.
At the Met.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased to see a portrait of her granddaughter, Elizabeth Neal, because I just helped a client buy major painting by Elizabeth Neal.
That's exciting.
I know, it was very exciting. And there's a beautiful portrait of Elizabeth at the end of the show. I think she's 8 or 9, and it was just thrilling to me. I mean, Elizabeth Neal is more of an abstract painter, nothing to do with what Alice does, her grandmother.
Right.
And they're both great. But
Yeah.
Alice is a classic. She has her life was just so interesting. And she was in New York. She lived way uptown. She was political. She was just an interesting woman there. And there's a documentary on her. The documentary is a little slow, but it's a great movie to watch.
Well, maybe it's like a nice mellow out before bed documentary.
You might.
I love documentaries, so a mellow one has lots to recommend it.
Well,
What about women in? Oh yeah, Hockney. I get that a little. I get that.
I love Hockney too.
No, but I mean, like, he's a little. I think people who maybe haven't studied how to say this without sounding like a total jerk. I don't know if I can find it. I feel like Hockney's a crowd pleaser. His images, just the way maybe a Slim Aarons photo is a crowd pleaser.
That's a crowd pleaser. I think earlier works of Hockney are really great. He's done a lot of iPad art. He does a lot of landscapes. He's living in Normandy right now.
How old is he?
I would say maybe late 80s. He
Good
moved,
for him for still being in the thick of it.
yeah. Well, he said he moved to France because he can smoke there without any.
As Oscar Wilde said, through Lady Bracknell, everyone needs an occupation.
That's right. Hunt Slonim.
Slonim.
Slonim. Not one of my favorites. I do like the rabbits. I see a lot of his work, and maybe too much. I think it's important to.
Yeah, ubiquity. I feel like that's the same for decorators too, in terms of our product. You want it to be sold. You want people noticing it and loving it, but you don't want to overtake, so that exhaustion sets in.
Right. So, I was at Bergdorf Goodman recently, and there are lots of Hunt Slonim there. But I do like little rabbits. I did in a powder room. I bought like 3 or 4 little rabbits in gold frames for a client, and it looked great.
Yeah.
I did the salon style like this.
And there's nothing wrong with things looking great. Like it almost, I think some people are so loath to use their art decoratively that they're almost anti-decorative success in the hanging of the art.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
That does. It does.
I would love, it's 2:00, so we got to go, but I am so remiss. I want to talk to you about diversity in art. I want to talk to you about women in art. Can we do a part 2?
Sure.
Sure. You got an hour one day? I just feel like there's so much ground to cover, and I'm really curious, and I would love to hear more about what's happening right now.
Okay. There's a lot of diversity. I just want to put a plug in for the Frieze Art Fair. Mm-hmm. It will actually happen in person. And I was just on a Zoom call with the people from Frieze. They were giving us a preview and telling us a little bit about the curated shows. And I think those are the curated sections, I should say, and some of the projects. And I think it's worth looking at. If you don't go to the shed.
I would love to hear about that from you too, because I find those things intimidating, because I lack so much of the education about the current art scene. I would love to know how I can dip my toe in without feeling so incredibly dumb about what's happening.
Go with me.
I was kind of waiting for the invitation.
Well, you can come with me.
Yeah, I would love to.
May 5th or 6th. What you pick the day. I have reservations. You have to make reservations also.
I will totally go with you.
So you pick the day, 1:00 on the 5th, Wednesday the 5th, or 12:15 on Thursday the 6th.
Okay. I'm checking my calendar and I'll call you offline.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't imagine my life without you helping make it more beautiful.
Thank you so much. Well, I love working with you. You know that. Yeah. And I'm thrilled you called me way back when. And you were those pieces behind me when you were signing your book. Yeah. So that's very special. And a shout out to Guy.
Shout out to Guy. And we need to have a part 2, at least a part 2. Okay. All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Kisses.
Same to you. Bye.